what we did in the last year? What our goals are for the next year? For
You know,
here?
if it was like last year, we just kind of winged it.
We gotta write them down.
Yeah,
We need goals.
yeah, that's what was the last, I think so. Oh, it was actually on the, oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's on the back.
Jeff will walk us through that.
He'll tell us what to say.
Pardon?
Oh, it's on the back. We have
Well,
to-
they
Oh, I was
finished
gonna say, I
the
didn't.
tennis courts and all that.
Okay, the back one there.
I have
think it's
got
4
to-
o'clock if we want to.
Yeah. Okay, 4 o'clock, shall we call the meeting to order? And request confirmation, Kansas Open Meeting Act requires notice has been properly provided.
It was.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ann Zimmerman?
Bruce Richardson.
Larry Pencratz?
Bonnie Schamberger?
Do we have any guests today? No? Okay. Anything on the citizens forum?
Oh, okay.
Don't be too shocked. My name's Linda Reynolds. I want to thank you for the lights at the dog park. They make all the difference in the world. I brought you my treat thing to leave you. Also now, if you have another thing to put on your list, the locks on the small dog park broke off in the wind. But I wanted to thank you for the lights.
Thank you, Linda.
It's not
You
dog
give it to
biscuits,
the
is it?
staff. We
No,
didn't
no,
have
no,
much to do with it.
No, that's all I had to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
And hope you have a Merry Christmas.
I will.
Okay, approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign for nay. Nope. Okay. Approval of minutes.
I move we approve the minutes.
Before we approve them, the citizens forum it didn't say anything about Linda being here month. Linda Reynolds, I was just here.
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we did miss that under the Citizens Forum meeting minutes, you're correct.
what did she talk about? Remind me.
About the dog park, about the lights being,
Oh, it wasn't underneath the citizens forum part, so it was actually in the project. On my citizens forum, it says there was none.
correct.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. We left it out.
That's why I say we left
Yeah, I think we
Linda.
neglected to
Okay, I
include
move
Ms.
we-
Reynolds' comments.
I withdraw my motion and move that we approve the minutes as corrected.
Okay. Anybody
I second.
seconded? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All and say no. Say no. Okay. Activity reports.
One item of, as Ms. Reynolds stated and reported under Citizens Forum this meeting, was that Dennis Park staff was able to replace the batteries in those LED solar lights at the dog park. There's 4 of those. 2 of them were in fact missing lights, and we replaced the batteries, and that solved the issue. We have replaced batteries before. Those batteries just stop holding a charge from the solar charging. So, and we are looking at additional LED solar lights at various other playground areas to get some more light on those subjects. Also, something of note, we did in fact get clarification from the city clerk's office that Matthew Smith is not a board member. There was a conflict. He was actually on another board, and he chose to stay on that board. So we do have an opening for a position on this board, but we also have a missing vice mayor position. So if we don't have to necessarily do it this meeting because we have a chair, Mr. Richardson. But if you, in January, if you want to consider voting and discussing, taking a motion and voting on a vice chair position, that would be excellent. But we don't have to do it today, but it's really up to the board.
Okay.
Other activity reports, items, and again, we'll go through a few items. One member of the board did have a few items that I would like to take some time to go through. I put on the dais for the board members to review and look at synthetic turf that is considered dog turf or canine turf. And if you want to pass it around, we did install, one of the items on the activity reports is we installed synthetic turf at the animal shelter for a court hold area, or it's a dog walking area that we use for dogs that are part of our holding area for court or for evidence. It's working out really great. Staff loves it. And they really think it's the greatest thing, and they want to put it everywhere now. But I wanted to make sure that was something I can give you and show you, and you can feel it.
Is it expensive?
The project the project was for approximately 600 square foot, 500 square foot. It was about $15,000 approximately, I think.
So it's probably not anything for the big dog parks. That'd be a lot of money.
That'd be a lot.
Yeah.
That would be that. We did get a previous quote from the same company for an area at the dog parks that was continually washing away. We had to put mulch down and looking at
That's dry.
looking at synthetic turf, and it was $16,000 per dog park just for a small area where the and then we declined to do it because where does it end? Because if we put it there, then the rest of the area would become mud and dirt and grass would not grow. So that's why we end up pursuing the closure of one section of the dog park so we can allow that grass to heal, reseed it, and treat it so it grows. And it seems to be doing rather well, and anticipating in the next few months opening one up and closing another.
So this stuff, do you hose it off when the dogs have been on it? How?
Good question. There is a typical treatment that the animal services staff use for kennels. It's basically a bleach treatment, and it's a water bleach solution. It's approximately, I don't know the ratio of water to bleach, but it is a sanitizing solution, and they use that almost everything. And then they use it to rinse off the turf after use by the dogs. And then
Does it go through it, or does it have
Correct.
to run off?
Yes.
It goes through it.
It goes through it. So the construction of it is there is 4 to 5 inches of gravel underneath of that turf, and then there's a wood border that the turf is nailed to or mounted to keep it secure. But there is drainage built in, so it drains normally as grass would. And there's also a slope to the site, so really it's not going to hold there. It's going to move away. So it won't become a little bit of a pond. The other treatment, other cleaning solution that they recommend, which we're going to do quarterly, is it's called OxyTurf. Basically, it's a hydrogen peroxide type cleaner that it kind of removes any buildup of nitrous compounds. As you can imagine, dogs would leave. But staff regularly pick up after dogs, and if they need to clean, they use that bleach water solution for normal everyday cleaning in between dogs, which they do have to do anyways.
Do they have any shorter grass than what this is?
I'm sure they do. This is specifically designed for dogs, and that's why we kind of went with this company. They felt that they have tested it in many markets and many different areas. The company is based in Wichita, and they've used it in several areas and had much success with it.
Okay.
I have seen shorter grass in dog areas. My neighbors have that, for example, in their backyard, for a portion of their backyard. Yeah. See a few other items of the activity report. So we're preparing for winter. Traditionally, a lot of children children and adults like to sled at Indian Rock when we get snow, so we put up snow fence to allow that to happen. Decorating for the holidays. The picture there is refurbishing Sunset Park. We did some bronze refurbishment before summer. We missed a few items, and park staff took care of those additional bronze plaques.
Oh, yeah, I want to say, I saw the decorations at Oakdale Park yesterday, and they just look really great.
Oh, great.
Is that normal? Is that the normal way? I just guess I haven't driven by there, but in the Christmas time.
Yeah, I think wreaths, and I'm not sure what else gets used for decorations.
Red and green lights.
Yeah, the green, red lights, they usually go up in the wintertime.
Okay, thank you.
I might have over-edited one area of this. Under landscaping accomplishments, staff worked on spraying. It says staff worked on spraying for broadleaf weeds covering 350 acres, and I think I did some editing that may be not very well understood. But staff's intention was to say we have about 350 acres that we try to cover with application of a broadleaf weed pesticide, and we've been able to accomplish 102 acres of that so far this year. So hope that clears that up. Staff got continuing education for their pesticide license. Let's see here.
So by the food bank, we're not in charge of anything there. We just move some trees
Is that under forestry?
under forestry. Yeah.
That,
Go ahead, Brett.
to answer your question, that was part of a project for Public Works. They're putting in sidewalk. That went to the commission a couple weeks ago. They preemptively got a hold of us because they needed some stuff moved. So we had some tree removal contracted, but we didn't. Those 2 trees were small enough to save. So staff moved those so that way we didn't have to have them removed. They were young enough that they were transplanted. So that's why those were moved like that.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of different, the city has a lot of different partnerships, so I didn't know if
Yeah.
we had some kind of thing going there. We had to take care of the landscape or something.
Yeah, this one was in partnership with Public Works, trying to help them on their project and save some trees while we're at it.
You can see some pictures there on the second page of the turf at Animal Services, the Polar Track unit that gets converted from a mower to a snow removal unit for the winter. We got some positions filled at the animal shelter, which is helping out considerably. And special events coming up. We had our Christmas pancakes and pajamas event, about 500 participants. Assuming Travis wants to speak about some Fieldhouse stuff, I'm assuming he does, but I'm just, last thing, construction techs are moving along with remodeling the bathrooms at the tennis complex. We did have it was our original intention to be done by the end of the year. We have a delay in that. We're not going to be able to finish by the end of the year. It'll be mid-January. We found some poorly constructed lumber, so we noticed we have some sagging ceilings in the bathrooms at the tennis complex. Those ceilings happen to be asbestos, so we removed the asbestos, found that there was some rather shoddy construction, probably from a repair that it was done on the south side of the bathrooms. That south side gets the majority of the moisture and the wind load, and most likely sometime in the 50s, 60s, 70s, there was a leak, and there was some attempts to repair that roof and the wood that goes along with supporting that roof, but it wasn't to our standards or satisfaction, and it was not the greatest thing. So we had to kind of pivot and remove the asbestos, remove the pieces of lumber that were not supporting the roof, put in a new beam to support the roof, elevated 5 inches because it had 5 inches of sag, and that caused us some delay in that. But we also realized that, hey, if this is happening on this side of the bathroom, we want to check the other side and make sure it's safe. We can also remediate the asbestos that is there. Did all that. The north side was fine. The wood structure supporting the roof was intact and in good shape. But I put a spot behind a little bit, so it'll be mid-January before we get done with the tennis bathrooms. With that being said, I'll pass it along to Dennis or Travis, whatever, if they wanted to add something that I might have missed or wanted to highlight something else.
As far as athletics or the field house goes, November we kind of shut down the outdoor facilities and outdoor programs, which then I can provide a tournament summary for you, which I did in your packet. I didn't know if you had any questions on there. Virtually the numbers were identical from last year, and we're receiving good comments on the turf, so we're looking forward to that. The feedback was good, indicating positive numbers moving forward. But I did want to provide that for you. What I see globally is a lot of competition, to be honest with you, with organizations seeking out tournaments surrounding Salina, Hayes, Wichita, Kansas City. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and they're competing. But those numbers indicate we're doing just fine. But I didn't know if anybody had any questions with.
Yes, I have a question. On the dark red, it says they didn't happen. Isn't that what it says?
Yeah. So this year was the first year we did not host the 4A State High School softball tournament. With the completion of the Salina South complex, it did get moved there. That tournament moved to Salina South. So it stayed in Salina, just not on Salina Parks and Recreation facilities, I guess. So I zeroed that one out, but so I guess you do have that factor. There may be still a couple tournaments that occur in Salina, but we don't keep track of those numbers per se. So that was a good catch out of you. But we still host the 4A state baseball tournament, just not on City of Salina property, just not the softball.
Thank you.
Where does soccer fall in?
Soccer, good question. With the construction of Stryker and all those facilities down in Wichita, as far as tournaments go, that is very, very difficult to compete against. With all those facilities turfed, they do host league down there. We are doing very well with league, club, those type of things, I would say, within Salina. But tournaments, they just been going like this consistently the last couple of years. And I, you've been to Stryker before? Go. And you'll see why. That's our competition, and that's why I say it's a kind of a dog-eat-dog world out there. And I think we're doing a great job with the renovation of baseball, softball. The Dean Evans, and then possibly another facility come on board, and then infield turf at Bill Burke. We're doing well there. But soccer, it's very difficult to compete with that. So if I very much encourage you, if you're in that northeast portion there by Cabela's, or that's where Stryker's at.
Up to 96.
Yeah. What street is that? But I encourage you to go, and then that's what our competition is as far as soccer goes. Yeah. Indoor and outdoor. Mm-hmm. So pretty tough.
But it looks like you have a good group of people playing indoor here.
Yeah, we do.
And how big is a team on indoor soccer?
Soccer?
Yeah, how many are on the field at one time per team?
Oh, for futsal?
Yeah.
Yeah, futsal is awesome. Hard court, so it's different form, but it's 5v5.
So it's not on the turf; it's on the.
It's on hard court.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, much faster.
Yes, I saw hard court.
Faster pace. And
A little smaller ball, is that
smaller
right?
ball.
Yeah.
It's a weighted ball, so it stays down. So if you try to kick it high, it's really not going to go too high. It's going to stay down. So it's just a different form of soccer that's enticing, and
Really
it's a
fast
good
pace.
good off season.
Yeah, I've been seeing some of that on YouTube. I didn't realize that's what that was. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to a turf season here in later January, February.
Okay.
So we'll play that on the turf.
And with that, how many on a team?
So futsal is 5v5.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we're able to go 7v7 on our turf
Okay.
for just 2 turfs down, 5 and 6. It's a little wider, and they could pass the ball, and so. Anyways, those are our outdoor tournament results. If you didn't have any other questions. With the field house, we're kind of ending the season. We just finished our last event. I'll provide you the same thing for the field house next board meeting, okay? Those numbers are initially looking really, really good. So moving on to the field house, with everything kind of coming to a halt outdoors, everybody kind of moves indoors. And as you can see, we have adult volleyball, adult basketball. 3-on-3 is just a beast. We have 42 teams there, so we just finished up last night. So it's a great program that we started a couple years ago. Again, a different form of basketball, just faster pace, and teams really like it. Smoky Valley, they're showing a really big presence, in the field house. They're using it for all their practices and games, which is great. MAYB kicked off really the first tournament for the winter, and we hosted that in November, and then we just hosted one this past weekend as well. So space, looking at space is getting very, very tight, and it's an issue. We just coming up with innovative ways to use the space and try to get as many people on there as possible. So, and again, I will have a field house report for tournaments and events next board meeting.
Well, and that was the goal when we built it, to have it busy, right?
It's busy.
Good. Good.
Success.
So how far in the future are they planning on building another field house or something like that for sports or anything? Are they going to do that?
Currently, there's no plans for that.
Foreseeable things? Okay.
One item of note on activity reports, Travis mentioned about the competition for sports in different communities. We just got out of a meeting, some of us got out of a meeting about the marathon. The other marathons in Kansas purposely opened their registration earlier than ours on purpose because our marathon was the largest marathon in the state of Kansas. So they're opening up their registrations earlier to try to capture some of our. So it's an interesting dog-eat-dog world, dog-eat-dog world.
We're seeing the same dynamic in baseball and softball and in anything. They're just open those registrations up or finding a way to make them cheaper or whatever sooner.
Or more
And
enticing.
It's just, it's a competitive world out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Board accomplishments for 2023.
So this is where you got to do some homework. So I'm going to give you some homework for the January meeting. The last page is the annual Boards and Commission annual reporting form. This is the time where I would like you to do some of the homework assignments would be as a board, list some of your 5 accomplishments that the board has been part of or achieved, and then goals that you might want to set for 2024. There's probably going to be, so if each of you can come up with 3 to 4 items, some of them are not going to be the same and some are going to be different, but typically I would list accomplishments and other items of interest and try to capture all of your comments or all of your accomplishments for 2023. So that is so if I can pass that along as homework to the board members, and have that returned to our January meeting, which I don't know the date of that meeting off the top of my head, but it's the third Wednesday in January.
Can we get last year's list?
Did we have one last year?
Yeah, I remember we did this last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first time I did it, but it would
Yeah,
kind of help us.
Travis reported me to January 17th as our next meeting. But yes, to answer your question, Mr. Pankratz, yes, we can send that out.
Kind of gives us an idea what we're supposed to be looking at.
Sure.
'Cause I remember we did it last year, but I don't remember.
I guess if we were thinking ahead, I probably could have included it in this packet, but yes.
It's all right. We got till another month.
Okay, covered the board goals. Is there any old business for now?
I didn't have anything on the agenda unless.
Don't either.
Unless the board members have something on the old business they want to discuss.
Did I see that there's going to be, did the city commission approves playground at Oxbow?
They did. There was, on December 11th, there was 2 items that the city commission approved. One was for a purchase and installation of a playground replacement at Oxbow Park. Oxbow Park is on the east side of town off of Ohio.
Of Faith?
Yeah, Faith and McAdams, just south of McDonald's there. One of our older playgrounds, sand surfacing that we want to get rid of. The lead times is about, 180 days for the purchase of that. So sometime this late spring, summer, early summer, hopefully we'll be installing that playground. And then the second item was concrete improvements, kind of that phase 3 of concrete improvements where we continue to go after parking, ADA parking, accessible sidewalks to shelters, bathrooms, what have you. This project, phase 3, is specifically about 2 different parks. One is Indian Rock Park, so there'll be ADA parking and additional non-ADA parking at the north end of Indian Rock Park. And then also a parking lot, removing the gravel parking lot at the lodge, the Indian Rock Lodge at the top of the hill, and that'll be a concrete path. There's also some drainage improvements that we're going to make. We continue to have drainage problems coming off the hill, basically. So part of that entry, one of the entrances, or right now there's 2 entrances into that lodge parking lot. We're going to just we're going to go to one entrance which is quite wide. It can be entered and exited. You can enter and exit at the same time. So, but we're removing one of the second entrance to allow for that area to be used as drainage for moisture and water that come off the hill. That project is, we're still in the process of paperwork regarding an agreement with that company. However, the timeline for that is to be finished in May, I believe. Yes. So they have quite a bit of time to get it done, with some understanding that, if they want to try to get it done over the winter, it might be challenging. You never know what kind of winter we're going to have. But
So the addition at the community theater, does that fall underneath your maintenance group that has to do maintenance of there? Or?
yeah, there was an existing agreement with the Salina Community Theater Association and the city regarding maintenance and custodial and maintenance of the building. So custodial, we provide some pretty typical cleaning to the public areas, bathrooms, lobby, things like that. And then also some basic maintenance responsibilities relating to lighting, HVAC, hot water, roof, stuff like that.
And that's considered a park behind it, isn't it?
That is Founders Park behind the Salina Community Theater, or Theater Salina.
And they're going to take more of it, is that my understanding?
They're taking and I couldn't tell you how much, but yes, towards that west portion, they want to expand that way into that, close to the Iron Avenue Bridge. They want to expand that way into the
Really,
Founders
it's not
Park.
much of a park anymore then.
It still wraps around quite a bit. I think there's still a significant portion of the park remaining. Our impacts, there's some items back there that we might need to relocate. There's a sidewalk back there that's not in the greatest shape, and And it's in the future with the river renewal, the Founders Park whole area is going to evolve based on what the river plan provides.
But we're still responsible for mowing and things? Okay.
Correct. And snow removal and, yeah.
So snow removal on that whole lot?
That's part of that maintenance agreement,
Oh.
that we provide snow removal and landscaping services to the Salina Community Theater. It's been a long time agreement.
Okay. Every time I come here, we find more stuff you do.
Put down as goals. Project updates.
So pickleball, we're pretty close. We're waiting for the contractor to finish up one small thing that we need them to finish. We'd like them to finish. We had an evaluation done by the USA Pickleball representative. That's it's an ambassador for USA Pickleball for this area. Got their opinion on something which the exposed bolt length of the court fencing is a little too long, and we think it's a concern. So we want them to address it by shortening that bolt. Should be hopefully very soon. We can open those up. I kind of gave a brief tennis bathroom project to give you a little more detail on the tennis bathrooms. Rough plumbing is in, rough electrical is in. They're preparing the walls for epoxy surfacing or epoxy surface. And really should be a short time where you'll see people on the roof replacing the roof, and that's one of those things that kind of got put off too, because once we realized we had an issue with the roof, we had to address the roof before we allowed the roofer to replace the flat roof. And then we'll start talking about drop-in toilets and urinals and partitions and getting water turned on, and so.
It's looking really nice.
Oh.
It's moving along, yeah.
Yeah, yes, I think it's moving along, very much so. I would say we're beyond maybe close to the 50% completed point, but.
We didn't have much to start with, so.
True.
Former Oakdale skating pond, that's kind of in mid-demolition. There's quite a bit of material in there, quite a bit of concrete, so they're working on the perimeter and kind of working backwards towards the west. And then I think they have a lot of work to do, but I was told that they would finish before the end of the year. So
That's soon. That's soon.
yes, it is pretty quick, just based on what I saw the other day. But I think they're trying to push and get done so they can move on to something else. And Burke fencing, we're in the middle of that project, and they are taking a little time. They finished up that sidewalk going from north to south. The fencing contractor is getting ready to start any day, probably the next 2 weeks, maybe after the end of the year or after the holidays and at the start of the year. So working on then when they're going to start. Just a general timeline. The fencing contractor, it's going to take about a field a week. So there's 8 fields, and it would take about 8 weeks to do the fence work, replacing fence and putting in new gates, new fence mesh, things like that. So, unless there's other projects we're working on, but if someone else, if one of the advisory boards has one of the advisory board members has a question about another project, please let me know.
On adding the position back, so that's been put on a website, so if someone wants to apply to get on this board.
I did not get an update about that, but yes, the city clerk's responsibility is to make sure that it gets advertised. I think there's a regular every month. We have some type of occupancy, or vacancy. So there is a regular publication and public notice made by the city clerk's office to announce the board positions that are available to be filled and the process in which to apply. Typically, the city clerk told me that there's usually plenty of interest in this board. And it would take all it would take at that point is the mayor to appoint someone and have a commission action for the appointment. Then they would start pretty soon after that. There's one item that is of note that I just thought of was the city commission schedule is going into 2024 is no longer 4 times a month. They are going to have a commission meeting twice a month. So, so if there is an action item to nominate or appoint someone to this board, it won't be till January 22nd. The January 8th meeting for the city commission is the naming of the new mayor, for an outgoing commissioners, things like that. It's usually a ceremonial affair. So.
Anything else?
For project updates, I don't have anything else.
Anybody else have any questions of anything? Well, shall I make a motion for adjournment?
Were there any announcements? I don't know if there were.
Larry Mr. Pankratz told me that he received a grant. Go ahead.
The disc golf course, we applied for a lot more, but we only got $500. But we've also had some several $1,000 grants, and the course is being used, and it's amazing back to the dog park how many people use it. I was never out there that often, and there's a lot of people at the dog park on a regular basis.
There was a time when the weather was nice, a week ago, where I saw more cars at the disc golf course than I saw at the dog park.
Oh, yeah.
And it was reported to me by one of the members that there was, at one point, 2 weeks ago, there were more people using that disc golf course than the other 2 existing disc golf courses in town. So, and one of the items on the activity reports indicates Dennis's staff's contributions about mowing that and helping them maintain the course.
They've done a nice job helping us out. Appreciate it.
So your grant, is that just to what is your grant going to go for?
We've already had enough money to buy baskets, so that we've already are playing it, and then we have just temporary tee boxes. So now the goal is eventually to get enough money to put the concrete tee boxes in. If you go by there right now, there is one basket all by itself about 200 yards north of the dog park, and that's where the number one course is, or number one hole is. So, and then what's interesting also is we just redid Kansas State University's disc golf course, and it's already open. So we went from 9 to 18 there. So
Here in Salina? Or is that in Manhattan? Or
no,
in
here.
The Salina?
Yeah,
Oh,
in Salina. So your brother can come and play here now too.
Okay, I'll invite him.
And the only other general announcement I have is I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I appreciate all of you serving on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to you,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
and to all the staff. Thank you.
Shall I move? We adjourn?
I'll second it. Is that a motion?
We moved. Adjourn.
I would like that. Okay. Meeting adjourned.